Test 8, rookie. Okay, here we go. We're going on an Apollo trip, and I wanted to do a video of my Apollo craft. There's a million different ways to build the Apollo craft. This is one of the ways that I have done it. I'm going to be flying this thing to the moon, and this craft is what I would call a hybrid craft. You're going to need some mods for this. I've played it with stock parts, and I've played it with modded parts, and this is the version that I've come up with that I personally like the best. Just depends on personal preference. This couple of mods you're going to need for this one are the FASA mod and the Blue Dog mod, BDB. And it's to give me the parts that I need to build this craft. So keep that in mind. Okay, this is the way I've chose to do the launch clamps. I have two sets, and I'm going to start the engines before I release the clamps. And I'll talk a little bit more about the parts that I'm using on this. The service modules from Blue Dog, the command modules also from Blue Dog. The Apollo command module looks really nice, but playing this in 1.43 has some problems. With the RCS thrusters, you have to turn them completely off. So I've used parts. Let me zoom in here. You can see this one is from the FASA mod. This one is from the FASA mod. The third stage is from the Blue Dog mod. The pedal adapter that holds the limb is also Blue Dog. The limb that's inside of here, we'll get to that as we go, is from the FASA mod. I personally like the limb on the FASA mod better than anything else that I've used. So I build this, I make a sub-assembly, and then when I'm putting this thing together, then I pop the limb in here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about as we go. The first stage is the stock parts. The engines are going to be using the FASA F1 Apollo engine. It's my personal preference, mainly because of the look and the sound. This just has a different sound than all the other ones. The stock Kerbal parts for this are tame in comparison to the sound of this, and it's just, again, personal preferences. I've worked quite a long time on the staging to get nice, smooth, deliberate separations, and you'll see as we go. I will be using a couple mods. I will be using my buddy Mech Jeb. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. Let me take the menu off for a second. Love the sound of the F1s. Staging's all set up to separate the escape tower after when the second stage lights. I have some kick motors on the first stage to get it to separate to kick down, and also to kick sideways, because gravity wants to pull this thing down. I mean, you can imagine the weight. So it wants to, when it separates, it wants to pull it down and kick this top up. my goal was to try to get it to separate straight down, and this is the best way that I've come up with to do that so far. Okay, we're going to go for separation at the first stage. See, pretty straight. Not quite all the way straight. And then you can see the fairing slipped away, and there goes my escape tower. So now we're on the second stage. For the engines on these, I'm using also the FASA J2s. Blue Dog uses a little different one in here. They use a different fuel in this too, so I've stuck with liquid fuel and oxygen. And again, my personal preference to go with the J2s, and my third stage has a single J2, just like the Apollo. I try to keep it as reasonably stock as I can to the Apollo craft. Not exact, none of them are, but this one works for me. You can see I'm plowing through the atmosphere here, heating up. There's the things I need to work on finesse-wise, because I should be able to fly this into orbit without it heating up like that. Those are the little tweaks that I need to work on because I am a rookie. Excuse me while I have a vape. Here we go. See, nice and straight. Second one. Have kick motors on it too. There we go. Spend a lot of times on those separations, because a lot of times you get, I don't like violent separations and I don't like tumbling. So I try to fine tune the craft so it comes off reasonably like how I think it would in real life. You can see I have some, these are from the Blue Dog mod, Twitch motors. I don't know how realistic that was on the FASA mod. It has what they call an APS flight pack right here. I actually like those better. I like the flame better. See, this has kind of got the cigarette lighter action going on here that I'm not too crazy about. The APS flight pack looked a lot better, the exhaust, but it won't work on 1.43. So this is what I used instead. If you're using 1.31, it works fine. Turn the lights on. I'm not using any visual mods. This is how it looks stock. Right now we're in the coast phase. A lot of different ways to set this part up. This is the Blue Dog pedal adapter, as I said. It's the one I personally like best. I actually like this better than the one on the Apollo mod. It has petals that kind of float away, and I just like this design better. Let's do a little warp here for my orbit burn. Get my solar panels going here. Now we got our orbit. And let's go ahead and get the mun, set it for target. Can turn this off. Let's go ahead and do it the mech jeb way. Home and transfer. Create nodes so I can see where it's going to be. Execute. And there's the moon. Okay, we're on our way. We just broke free of Earth's gravity, and we're on our way to the moon. Now, I don't know exactly at what point they turn around and attach to the limb, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go right around here. Okay, we're a little ways away, on our way to the moon. Okay, now we're getting ready to separate. We're going to open up the pedal. Go ahead right now and set this This target. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my cameras. Gotta have these docking cameras. Okay, for the guys who know what the hell they're doing, they do all this stuff manually, but I'm a wuss, so I'm going to do it all using MechJeb. Okay, so I can either use the autopilot, or I'll first use the Smart ASS and turn this thing around so I'm facing. Okay, let me switch craft and enable the camera on the other end. Let's go ahead and get the docking autopilot going. And then sit back and enjoy the show. I play around with this part. You know, sometimes I'll do it like halfway to the moon. Sometimes I'll do it as soon as we break free from the Earth, and I'll do it then. Or sometimes I'll go ahead and warp to the moon at the point of translunar injection, and then I'll go ahead and just do everything there. And you can see there's my beautiful FASA limb. Best one out there. This one, it just has the most detail. I mean, as you can see the antennas, you have to put all these on individually. The Blue Dog already has them attached, but the Blue Dog, in my opinion, just doesn't have the detail this one does. That's why I use this one. Plus, I just like the way this one flies better. All I gotta say is this is one cool ass game, and the video is mainly geared for people who are real early in the game that are checking stuff out, want to just see different ways that people are doing things. The beauty of this game is there's a million different ways to do it. I watch a lot of videos and I'll learn something new every time. I'll go, oh man, that's pretty cool. I haven't checked that one out, or I didn't even know about that one. It's like no matter how long you've played this game, you learn new stuff about it. The thing I like about this docking autopilot too is this nice smooth dockings. Man, if I was doing this stuff myself, I'd be bouncing all over the place. And you can see here, I have it slowed down. I have it at 0.5 meters per second. You can set this whatever you want it to. I like it nice and slow. No way can I dock like that. I just sit back and let MechJeb do it. Alright, now we're docked. The only thing that's left is to pull that out of there. And we'll wait a minute to do that. Go ahead and save. And let's go ahead and warp the rest of the way to the encounter. You can see I got some stuff going on over here. I got a space station going around. I have some bases on the moon. Okay, you can see I'm on a collision course to the moon. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you see where the moon is. Get this thing orientated right. Yeah, let me go ahead and move it to the side a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and separate. Back away a little bit. Now, the thing I like to do, this third stage is going into the moon anyway. It's already on a collision course. But I like to do this. I'm going to line this sucker up. Close as I can get it. I can go up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to blast off. Send it I'm giving it a little boost. There it goes. Pretty cool. Like I said, it was going there anyway, but it's just a little fun part to do this. Okay, I better get busy. First I need to arm this engine. And then first thing I'm going to do is do an inclination to make sure I'm coming in the right way. I'm going to do it at a fixed time, 30 seconds. Give it time to move. One other thing I did with this game too, just from flying the hell out of it many times, the command service module, I never have enough fuel. Let me get back to that in a second. Okay, next I'm going to set my periapsis. I set it at 30 kilometers. I'm going to go the 30-second deal again. I've added some fuel tanks to this. I believe there are 100. I have 6 of those puppies in there. And if you can open and take a look. And I have a battery pack in there also, right there, to give me some extra juice. But what I did was I attached these to the outside and then I just moved them in. So they'd be symmetrical, so I'd have balance. First I just tried cramming them all in there. Okay, now I'm going to circularize at the next periapsis. And when I just shoved them in there and fine moved them, I was out of balance like crazy. Those RCS thrusters were just working overtime trying to keep the craft stable. So I went back and redid it and then put them in ×6 symmetrical and then just moved them in so it's evenly spaced around the inside of the craft, and I got my balance back. Plus it gave me some extra fuel. It's probably just my inefficiency at flying, but I always run out of fuel with this thing. This is the Apollo command module engine. I like it the best. I like the plume on it the best, a lot better than the Blue Dog. But again, just personal preferences. But that thing is a gas guzzler. That's why I put extra fuel in there. I always like to go to the moon, launch back up, redock, do a deorbit burn to get back to Earth's gravity, and then I like to go back and orbit Earth and then do a deorbit burn, but I can't do that with this. I don't have enough fuel. Even with these tanks, I still don't have enough fuel. All right, we're circularized. Let's check it out. 30, 28. Good enough for me. All right, we're in orbit around the moon. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer the crew. Transfer, pick one. Move it, do it again. Move it to the LEM. Okay, now I have 1 in the command module, 2 in the LEM. Just like for real. You can see the background has changed a little bit. The 2 guys in the LEM and the 1 guy in the command module. Okay, now I'm going to undock. Back away just a little bit. Open my legs. That didn't sound right. Look at that limb. She is beautiful. Get a little distance. Now, one thing I will say about 1.42, when I played this game For a while, something just didn't quite seem right to me. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I finally figured it out. Changes made in 1.4 changed the effects of the RCS thrusters. I'll show you. See the way they fire, see the way they look? They're short and they're circular. I don't care for it. Personally, that's the one thing I don't care about the effects of it. I mean, it just, if you go back and play 1.31 and you look at the thrusters, they look more like how you think they would look. They're a little more focused. They're not quite so circular like that. They're a little tiny bit longer and they're a little bit more, the throw is a little bit more, comes out small and then goes big instead of being circular like these are. But that's just a personal preference of mine. Some people might not even notice it. Some people might not even give a shit. Okay, I can close this. And next thing we're going to do is go and make jab all the way. We're going landing guidance. Some different ways I can do this. I can just go land somewhere. And what that's going to do is the computer's just going to pick the quickest way down, and that's the way it's going to go. Or you can go pick on map, then go back to the map, pick a spot, double click it, and it will set the coordinates to land there. Or you can go by enter your coordinates yourself. That's the way we're going to do it. First thing we're going to do is go to the map, take a look. Let's go to the lit side, see what options we have. All right. We're going to go to base 5, and we're going to check this one out. I haven't been there in a while. 01134 south. One 159,435. East. 159. Oh, 435. 159. 159, 435. 01134. Okay, you can see my coordinates aren't exact. I don't want them to be exact because whatever this target is, I'm going to land right on top of it if I put it exact. So I have to vary it a little bit each time. And if you're doing a bunch of flybys and you have a whole bunch of different craft over here, it's good to get your pencil and paper and keep track of this so you don't accidentally put the same coordinate in twice. Okay, let me go to the map because I forgot to do something here. I mean, out of the map, excuse me. I need to arm my engine. Now I can land at target. It's going to do a little warping to point me the right way. don't quite have the this subassembly exactly right. If you notice here, the ladder, I have it on both sides. I put it on a 2x symmetry, and to be more realistic, there shouldn't be a ladder here. I went ahead and left it like that, but I'll probably go back in and retweak it later. It also gives you this little step that you put on manually. This is also, well, this came with the mod, so this is the Apollo. Decent engine, which I like the exhaust on it the best. The one little thing you have to change is the RCS thrusters. See, these are the Blue Dog thrusters because the Apollo thrusters won't work on 1.43. You put them on there and it'll shoot out a big old blue flame, and it's shooting it out backwards. And it's like the flame is as long as the craft and just looks weird, so they're just not usable. So there are some little modifications you have to make if you're using the FASA mod. There's my target down there. You can see I got a few things going on. Many times I've been here, it's always nice to, sometimes I'll land at a base, sometimes I'll just land over here so I can, get multiple craft spread out all over the place, so whenever I pick some place to land, I can go check out the other craft, do a little moonwalking. One thing 4.3 did better than 1.31 is the sound. Like the sound of this rocket motor. I don't know how much you can hear it because I have the game volume turned down to do this recording. But the sound is really nice. It's a little bit more throaty. A little bit more roomy. I like the sound, and I like the sound it makes when it turns on and shuts off. But then there's some things I like about 1.31 better. When you do entry, when you do your entries to come back into the Earth's atmosphere and your craft burns up, like you jettison your craft and watch it burn up, 1.31 does it a lot better, in my opinion, than 1.43 does. 1.43 gives you these weird effects, these little circular patterns of explosion. I just don't like them. I like the way 1.3 did it better, but it's sort of like that RCS thruster thing. They changed the effects on certain things. Some of them I like better, some of them I don't like better. There's my base. So I could have landed a little bit closer. Doesn't look like I have any other crafts. This must have been the first one I put over here in a while. how stable that craft landed? You try to build this craft in the Apollo DLC, ain't nothing like this. It's not even close on how what I would call the KSP limb, or the MIM as they call it. Looks like a toy in comparison to this. Plus the way it sits. This thing sits, you see how stable that was when it landed? The KSP Apollo one lands and bounces all over the place. You take a Kerbal out of here and put him on the step, and the craft looks like it's going to tip over. Like it doesn't have any weight to it. Just a couple things I don't like. The other neat little effect about this limb is I can go in the command pod. I should have went in here as we were landing, I forgot. But you come over here, click on it. In fact, this is the only way you can open the door. Took me a while to figure this out. I would click on the door from the outside and it would give me some message that something was obstructed or something. I finally did some forum searches and found out how the right way to do it was. Felt like a total dummy. Anyway, that's pretty cool. So a nice little touch for the limb. Let's go EVA. And I always miss that dang step. That's a little problem right there. I haven't quite figured that out. If you look at it, see, I have it quite a ways out already. You can adjust this a little bit. But it seems like when he comes out, he always wants to land right here. And if I put it out any farther than that, it's going to look funny. So I guess that's one of those things I have to live with. Plus, I'm even having this problem with this one. You climb the ladder and he doesn't want to step on it. He gets like stuck like right there. And you don't get the message to board. You have to bounce up and then land on it, and that's a little thing I have to work on. Oh, my Kirby's taking a nap. Okay, come on, dude. I don't like that flag. I forgot to change it back. Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised that I don't have any more craft over here. Let's go check out my space station. I'm getting a lot of lag right now. It's because of the part count of this thing. Whenever you get close to this, when you're in orbit, you can see it immediately. Your game just takes a nosedive as soon as it calculates the part count. Well, I got something on it. I got another moon rocket over there, 5 kilometers. Looks like I'm gonna have to visit this one more often so I can get some craft around it. Okay, this craft is full of Kirby's. Got some nuclear reactors going on with some radiators to dissipate the heat. And I don't know what's going on with here. When I have all my lights on, like right here, and I come back, the lights are out. Like sometimes they're out, sometimes they're not. Yeah, that's my only craft. Okay, that's my Kerbal Hotel. Got a lot of Kirby's in there. They got everything they need. There's a greenhouse where they can grow their product. I got a few hookers in there. So it's like, what else you need? So all the Kirby's in there, they're walking around with big smiles on their faces. And I know somebody's probably asking, how the hell did you get that up there, dude? Well, I use this little program right here called HyperEdit. It's a big time cheater program. Basically, you can build a craft in the space hangar, build this whole thing right here complete. Then you can use HyperEdit to actually put it in orbit on whatever planet you want, and then you can bring it down and land it. Pretty much have to turn all your crash stuff off on the cheat F12, so this thing doesn't self-destruct when it comes down. It comes down pretty slow, but still something that big. That's like trying to land a football field. So that's how I did it. I do use it for bases because I like to have a lot of bases. And this lets me get them up here quick, and it lets me design the base I want that I could never put up here in pieces. I have some space stations, but I do not use HyperEdit for the space stations. I do them manually, but I do use this program for my bases. Do them all a little bit different so I can land next to one and check it out. Like this one here, it's been so long since I've been there, I forgot about this one. As you can see, I don't have any craft. Most of my other bases have landing craft all the way around it where I've been there multiple times. So anyway, I could take my Kerbal in there if I wanted to, and I could leave him there. Or I could swap them out and bring another one out, go back to the craft, take them home. That's the one thing I enjoy doing. I have a home-built craft besides this one that's just for this. It'll hold 6 Kerbals, and it's a big old giant thing. I did another video on it. And I use that as my transport to bring 4 or 5 Kerbals up, or pick up 4 or 5 Kerbals, take them back, rotate them. I just get a kick out of doing stuff like that. Again, the neat thing about the game is you can play it however the hell you want. Whatever floats your rocket ship, you know. I could, another craft over there. See, I'm not going to do all that for the sake of the video, but normally I'll spend some time here. Like I'll go in there. You know, I didn't go in there and show you guys around. I mean, there's a lot of different rooms. That's also a mod that gave me all these pieces. I think it's called something base mod. But anyway, I use whatever mods I need to make the game how I want it to play. Some people are stock only, and some people have 5 times more mods than I do. So again, it's just whatever you come up with. So you can see my doors open. Alright, let's see if it hangs right here. Oh, this time it's let me do it. Okay. Now I need to go back in. Now I'm on the other side because that's the guy I took out. And I gotta go down here. And I gotta close the door. I made the mistake one time of letting this guy over here out and didn't bring him back. Or actually, this guy on the right side, and I didn't bring him back. So when I went and entered the craft, I was the guy on the left, and I couldn't cycle back and forth because there was nobody to cycle to. Normally you can use your V key and cycle to the other guy, and I was stuck. So I had to come all the way back home with this door open. So anyway, you get on the right side, click on it again, and it'll shut it. Again, nice little touch. The blue dog limb isn't that animated. You just click on it and let him out. You can go inside it, but it doesn't have that way to open and shut the door like this one does, which I like a lot better. Okay, let's get the hell out of here. Need to shut down that engine. Need to go get MechJeb again. Let's go with scent guidance. This time I'm going to go for a 25-kilometer orbit, a little bit below my mothercraft. Let me go to the map, see where I'm at. I'm right there, and this is me. So I'm going to go ahead and warp this puppy around here a little bit. And my game is lagging. I've been playing this game about 3 hours today. And that's what it does. It seems like this game doesn't release memory very well. And it seems like, for me anyway, if I play this game for hours, it'll usually end up crashing on me because the memory gets built up so much that pretty soon it turns into be a lag fest. You can see it is pretty laggy. It's going to get better when I get away from that. Okay, so now I got my target selected. Let me change the staging to 1, actually staging to 0, and let me go to launch to rendezvous. You can see it's telling me I have 3 minutes and 18 seconds to launch before I launch. And that means I'm going to be seeing that guy come up on the horizon here pretty quick. Let me do a quick save. Okay, I can warp this a little bit to get this a little bit closer to countdown. And then it says launch countdown 11 seconds. You can set that whatever you want. So when you get to 11 seconds, you click on your engage autopilot, and then it will take care of the rest. See if my craft's coming up yet. Not yet. There it is. See that guy? There she comes. Okay, we're getting ready to time this is close to 11 seconds. No big deal. Whatever time you click, it'll just throw the calculation off just a little bit. So the closer you get, boom. Then it's going to go ahead and launch by itself when it gets down to 1. And there she goes. Plenty of electric charge. I put these panels on, 2 of them. I just recently did that because I sat on the moon a little bit too long and I ran out of juice. And I have a couple of solar panels right there and on the other side. that I can swing those out, but I like the look of it without those. If I don't have to do it, I won't. So I put these two panels on there. That seems to have done the trick. Let's see, where there's my craft. There she is. I'm going to come up a little bit below it and a little bit behind it. And then MechJeb will take care of the rest. Warping, there she goes. Got a 50-second burn coming up. My orbit burn. I got to tweak the decoupler from the ascent stage to the descent stage because I had the camera ways away. But what happens when it takes off, the decoupler separates and then this slides a little bit. You'll see it. If I would have had my camera down there, you'll see it sliding. Sometimes it'll feel like it's going to slide clear off the descent stage. I don't quite know how to fix that. Because you would think, if you have them staged together, that the decoupler and the rocket will take off at the same time, but it's not working out that way. It's like the decoupler's going first, the descent stage is moving a little bit, and then it takes off. Okay, we made orbit. See, we're in orbit. So now, since I've already have my target selected, again, I'm going to keep using MechJeb, and I'm going to go to Rendezvous Autopilot. I have it set it to go to 100 meters from target, and I'm going to select it. Now this calculation will be just depends on where the mothership was when you launched, what orbit it was, what your target orbit is. A lot of different variables there. The way I did it was it would be the quickest way to get there that MechJeb would calculate. Again, the dudes that do all this manually, my hat's off to you. You guys, I'm not in your pay grade. See, I'm not too far off. See, I'm a little bit below. Looks like my plane is good. See, MechJeb did all that. And see, if I would have launched myself, no telling what plane I would be in, no telling what orbit I would end up being in. Then I would have to do a lot of maneuvering. Just a little warp, get me there a little quicker. The Apollo is probably one of the missions that I fly the most. This is what I'm doing right now. I can't even tell you how many times I've done this. And it just, for me, it just never gets old. You know, I do it 5 times in one day, and the next day I can't wait to go jump in the rocket again. Excuse me. You got to be a little bit of a space enthusiast to get into this game. I have some friends that will watch me play this and they'll go, no way. Just not for them. They'd rather be playing Far Cry 5 or something. I have Far Cry 5, and it's just been sitting on my computer yelling for me to play it. But since I got this game, this is all I'm playing. 42 minutes. Okay, let me get another warp. My daughter's in the next room. She says every time I go on my computer, the only thing she can hear is rocket motors. I could have the sound turned up and I blast off the Apollo and listen to those mighty F1s. The louder the better. Well, that looks low, don't it? Okay, if you look up here, we're on intercept course, planning to match velocities at closest approach. See, I wasn't that far off to begin with. You can see them by my burns. They're relatively short. Let's see if we're in the neighborhood. Yes, we are. There she is. 5 kilometers. So we're getting close. There you can see her up there sitting pretty. Just waiting for me. Okay, we're there. See, we made it to our 100 meter target. So now we can look and see where we're at. Let me go to the other craft and look at my position. I'm gonna kind of leave it right there. Man, see, I don't want to point it right at it because then when I turn my cameras on, because I always like to have my docking cameras, this camera will be pointed straight at the moon and it kind of drowns out the ship. So it's one of those personal preference things. I like to keep it sideways so there's space behind me and space behind the limb. And then the docking camera just comes out really nice. Man, oh man, it's like I'm in a... This thing's going to be doing a lot of maneuvering whichever way I go. You know what, I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'm going to see what happens. I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. See, even though it tells you this is a MechJeb deal, see, I'd have to go back, even though the target's already selected, it's telling me that it's not selected. So I have to click on this, go control from here, go back to there, click on set as target to get rid of those. They just say hell with it. See, now we're going to be doing a lot of maneuvering, so let's turn my cameras on. let's go up here. Oh, it's actually moving both of them. You know, it did what I didn't know it was going to do that right there. Usually it doesn't move this shit, but it went ahead and moved it, so this is what I didn't want. Hmm. I don't know if it's because I switched craft. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have enabled my camera before I switched back here. I didn't know this one was going to move. See, now it's, yeah. See, I like space behind it because, see, this one's going to be, see, the thrusters is going to be making adjustments, and you can't really see the thrusters when you have the moon background behind it. And that's the reason why I like to have space behind it, because then I can see the thruster firings when I look at the camera. It just looks cool. The camera whites out the background a little bit too much. Let's see if I go up here, switch cameras. That's the focus camera mod that lets you do that. Now I can look back at it. And now I can see the thruster firing. See, I just like looking at all that. And see, this is what I meant about 1.43, where you see the way the thrusters fire, how they're small and compact, where in 1.31, the same exact thing, you would see the thrusters a little more clearly. They'd be a little bit more focused, which I like to look a lot better. You can see I have a MechJeb module on the limb, and the reason why I put it there is because when we dock and I take these guys and put them back in the command module, and then I undock this, there's my dock, and I undock this guy, I like to control this. Like if I want to jump back in here and do a burn to go crash it into the moon, I can't do it, because once I undock and this don't have any kerbals in it, I can't control it. So with the MechJeb mod on there, you can. I also did that earlier when I crashed the third stage into the moon. Same thing. I had to put a MechJeb module on the third stage because when I undocked, I wouldn't be able to control the third stage anymore. It would just be dead in space. Now let's turn this engine off. Let's get my Kirby's back into the command module. There we go. They're all nice and safe and sound. Okay, see, here is where I normally... Okay, I got enough fuel. See, I could do a couple things. If I just undock, fly this guy back home, he'll just be in an orbit around the moon. So I can leave them there, and then when I come back up, I can see them up there. Or, like I said, with a MechJeb module on there, I can undock. I could do a deorbit burn because I still have some fuel in here and crash it into the moon. Or I can just take the whole thing back to Earth, decouple it, and let it burn up in the atmosphere. So I think, what the hell, that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go get my planner, wrong thing. Get my planner up. I'm going to go return from the moon. Just leave it at 100 kilometers because I won't have a periapsis anyway. And let's go ahead and execute. I'll just bring the whole thing back with me. I don't like to leave a bunch of stuff orbiting the moon. I usually go in the map and the tracking station when I'm done and get rid of it because I don't like to have too much stuff out there. See, breaking free of the moon's gravity. See, another thing I can do too is I can take this guy up to the space station. I have a space station orbiting the moon. So sometimes I'll just go up there and dock and just leave him there. I like options, I like just doing different things. I have 3 space stations around the Earth. Same thing. Instead of flying this guy back home, I might go to the space station, even though that's going to be hard to do. Because I'm not going to have enough fuel in there to do that. Because to do that, I would have to go into Earth orbit. I don't have enough fuel left to go into Earth's orbit. That's what I mean about this thing's a fuel guzzler. Or it's just me sucking at driving. See, I already broke free, so I'll pick my spot and warp. This is going to put me back into an Earth's orbit. Earth's gravity is going to capture me and pull me back into a free trajectory home. There we go. See, there's no periapsis, so I'm going in. I don't have to use any more engines because I'm going in anyway. But like I said, sometimes if I wanted to go to this station, this is where I have a problem because I don't have the fuel. So that's kind of a bummer because that's like an option that's taken away from me with this craft. I could do it on my craft that I use to transport because it's much bigger. So I could do that if I wanted. But let's see if it's showing it. Yeah, see, there's my space station. Now I did have enough to get up to that, but I don't have enough to get to one of these bad guys. So let me get a little bit closer. Takes a lot of fuel right here to put me back in an Earth's orbit. Let me go a little bit closer. And some of the experienced guys saying you just don't know what you're doing, and could very well be the case. All right, let me get me inside here. And let me get back. See, I look up here to see where I'm at. See, I'm going in anyway, so it don't matter where I separate, I'm going in. But I like to get a little bit closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undock the limb, and then I'm going to jettison the command service module from the command module and take this guy back home, and this guy looks going to burn up. And this is where I said 1.31 has this better, at least for me. The effect of when they burn up, I just like the effect better. It shows them breaking up in multiple pieces, and you don't have this circular explosion thing. You have the explosions, but not with the effect of this one, and I'll show you as I get a little bit closer. Let me warp a little bit faster, get under 200, and I'll start separating. Alright, let's go ahead and undock. Okay, that puppy's going. And let's turn this around the other way. And let's undock this guy. There we go. And there's my two guys. They're gonna burn up. I'm facing approximately right. And I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. Some people may like this effect better, and some people might not. Each time you get an explosion, you're going to see a circular pattern. It looks like it's throwing out a bunch of dots. And I just don't care for the look. And I don't care for the way they fly in space. It's just not a realistic thing to me. Where 1.31, it would show it breaking up, but it wouldn't show that weird effect. And then it will show the craft breaking up in pieces, and you'll see the squares separate, and then you could follow them all the way into the ground. Okay, here we go. You'll start to see them. There we go. See this effect right there? See that? I don't care for it. Just not, look at that. I just don't care for it. They could have done without that. See, look at that. Just too toy-like to me. Like I don't know what Squad was trying to do. Thought people were gonna like that. See that right there? We're seeing 1.31. You wouldn't have got all that, and you would see the craft breaking up. So you're not seeing that 1.43. The craft's, you don't see it really separate into pieces. You might see a piece or two, but like in 1.31, when that command module would disintegrate, you would see it bust up into about 5 or 6 pieces, individual pieces. So you'd have a whole bunch of squares separating, and then each one of them would have its own trajectory. You could watch them all land. So this one, they kind of added that, what I call a wonky effect, and then they kind of took some of the effect out on showing it breaking up into a bunch of pieces. See, there's one piece. I don't know where the hell the other one is. Alright, I'm coming in. I'm going to go down to about, since I'm going to go in water, so I don't have to worry about altitude. Let's go where the chutes. This is the Blue Dog chutes, and they got this better than the Apollo command module. See, they got this better. This just looks much better. See this? They got the distance right, and they got the spread right of the chutes. The FASA triple chute, it looks cool too, but it's higher. It's about up here, and it's not spread out as much. It's still spread out, but it's like they're over here. They're like almost touching. So this looks better because you don't have to, you can get a pretty close view of the craft and still see all of the parachutes, where the FASA one, you'd have to go like this to see the chutes because they'd be way up here. So that part I like. I have the real chutes mod. I wish this parachute, I could configure it for the real chute where you could have a drogue and then it cut and then this would come up. It doesn't do that with the stock Blue Dog chutes. You would have to add another chute to it. and then configure it separately from these to deploy at whatever altitude you wanted, cut whatever altitude you wanted, and then deploy these manually after that. Or if you had the real chute compatible, it would do it all automatically. So I wish these chutes were compatible because I like that effect. But there we go. Looks cool. Made a safe journey back. There we go. That was my Apollo craft. Later, dudes.